Hi, my name is Jonathan, and this is my open source contribution project. The program that I went with is called DBeaver. It's a database management tool that allows you to work with any database type that probably exists. Allows you to use SQL and no SQL on it. It has a bunch of plugins that allows you to change the way you interact with the databases. And of course, it's open source. The problem that I found was that in the preferences tab, when you use the search bar and then type in whitespace, grid doesn't pop up as one of the sub options, and even though it has a whitespace characters option inside of it. I managed to fix this, and then now when you search up white, grid does pop up because it has the whitespace characters option. So basically that was my contribution. All I did was I amended the keywords in the preferences file so that grid would pop up when whitespace is searched. This is a link to the forked repository. And basically what I did is I went into the plugins of DBeaver to find out where the keywords are stored, and I just added whitespace to the keywords for the grid label. This is the repository. The plugins are where the most of the code for the UI is, and then inside of core is where what I was looking for was the bundle.properties file, which contains all the keywords. This is the IDE that I used to work on it. And basically inside of core, I found this file called bundle.properties, and this is all the UI stuff for the preferences tab. And then I just found the grid option and then added whitespace to the end of it, the keywords. So now whenever anybody searches up these three words, the grid label pops up. Some of the expectations that I had were that the repository had an organized file system, which it did. I was able to find what I was looking for. The preference files were readily available, and the keywords were the reason why it wasn't working, which is what I suspected was happening. The unexpected stuff was I was more rusty on Java than I thought. Keywords were not stored in the preferences files like I thought they would be, but actually in bundle.properties. And Java required a different IDE and tools that I wasn't used to, like Maven, which is a project manager, and Tycho for the plugins to build the program itself. Some roadblocks I had were that the file I was looking for was not in the preferences plugin, but rather in the bundle.properties file, like I said before. The Eclipse IDE was difficult to set up at first, and I had an outdated OpenJDK and Java versions, which caused issues with building and opening the program, and it was a headache trying to get it all fixed, but we eventually got it done. Some of the things I learned in this project were how to efficiently ask for help. Asking the people with more experience in the repository to have them point me in the right direction was extremely helpful. I learned how to use the Eclipse IDE and some tools specific to Java. I learned how to read others' code well and figure out how the program works by piecing together all the different code. And I learned how to commit and make a pull request to an ongoing public repository to contribute to it. Some things I would do differently are I'd probably choose a project in a language I'm more proficient in, something like C++ or Python rather than Java. I'd ask for help earlier because I did poke around for a while before I finally asked for help, and they pointed me in the right direction for where the keywords would be stored. And I'd start with the Eclipse IDE first, rather than trying to get it working in VS Code. VS Code, it's possible to edit in that, but it's difficult for DBeaver itself. This is the pull request I made, and it was approved, and I'm just waiting for some final checks.